Welcome to another edition of Now Hear This, an ongoing series of brief conversations with IUEC leadership about issues of importance to our union and to our members. I'm Allison Harrell. Every day, in every corner of North America, millions of people step into elevators and onto escalators to get them from one place to another. They do it without thinking about it, simply because they've already done it countless times before. But wherever there are moving parts, there is a need to take care of these machines. That's the subject of this conversation with Bob Miskey and Assistant General President Jim Bender.
Thank you, Allison. I'm here with Assistant General President Jim Bender. Jim, thanks for taking a minute.
You're welcome, Bob.
As far as the IUEC is concerned, of course, there's two major types of work that goes on. Of course, the installation, the construction jobs of new conveyance systems. But there's also service work, which is critically important to the union.
Yeah, the service work is our bread and butter. It's like you said, it's critical to the customer. Keep the elevators maintained properly so they're working efficiently in the buildings, and obviously make them safe for the riding public.
And really, it's in any industry, it provides the opportunity for ongoing work, I assume. I mean, you're in a position to take care of these for many years down the road.
Yeah, it never stops. Maintenance is constant. You know, they're constantly running many moving parts. A lot of electronics, a lot of mechanical, and routine maintenance is critical for these things to continue to run properly.
Is there kind of a main difference that goes on in the mind of a mechanic, one who's focused on one job, I have to build this elevator, versus somebody who drives around in a service vehicle?
Yeah, new construction is a different environment. You're on a construction site. You're installing from the very beginning to the very end. You get to see the completion of the project. You know, and it's a little different environment, a little heavier work. But in service, you know, you're usually in an occupied space, in an area where there's multiple units that you're servicing. You're having to deal with customers, you're having to deal with the different vendors, you have to deal with the public at times. And then you also have to deal with the regulatory authorities to make sure the elevators are properly being maintained and meeting all the codes.
And I guess one thing that would affect a person or on the job is when I'm on a job site, I have to build this bank of elevators or what have you. A service person may look at his work list and see multiple units of all sizes and shapes that he has to deal with day to day, right? Yeah,
most definitely. You're dealing with a variety of different conveyances, whether it be escalators, moving walks, dumbwaiters, freight elevators, passenger elevators, hydraulic, high-speed traction machines. Yeah, it's a wide range of different types of conveyances and equipment you're dealing with.
You know, aside from the kind of the nuts and bolts of the job, what kind of pressure does that bring to bear on a mechanic? Because people always think, well, I put it in and it's going to work forever, you know, or if it's down, it's an inconvenience, and you know, people are grumbling. What kind of added pressure does that bring to your members?
Well, you know, it's mentally, you know, you're constantly having to keep yourself updated on the different types of equipment that you're dealing with. You may have all kinds of varieties, different proprietary makes of elevators. So you're dealing with that. You're dealing with the stresses of trying to keep the customer happy. And of course, if you've got that uniform on, you're in front of the public, and they're, you know, the elevators aren't working properly, you're dealing with the public also. So, you know, these pressures, it's tough for the guy to find that balance, you know, find that time. He's been allowed to perform the maintenance, to do it properly, to ensure the safety of these conveyances to the riding public, along with keep the customer happy, make the company profitable, and then also again the regulatory side, make sure that those agencies are satisfied that they're being maintained properly and safely.
You mentioned an interesting phrase, find the right balance. I would imagine your mechanics out there in the field, in the corner of their eye, they may see the customer doing this, glancing at the watch, and they still have the responsibility to do things right, not cut any corners. That probably all kind of factors into the mentality, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. The industry has changed. The number of units that are required to be maintained by a mechanic have grown substantially. So the pressure's on them to try to get the job done, get it done safely. Like you said, don't cut corners. You don't want to sacrifice safety, obviously. And you have to there's a lot involved in trying to keep all these things running and keep everybody happy, whether it be your boss, the customer, and the regulatory side of it.
How do we, moving forward, how do we, maybe keep the customer happy and, lighten some of the pressure on the mechanic out there in the field, kind of get everybody on the same page? What would help accomplish that?
Well, right now, what we think the solution to the problem is our maintenance control programs. Get that built into the regulation. You have to do that through legislation in the states and whatnot. And we think that will go a long ways to kind of set a standard for what maintenance needs to be done on the different types of the conveyances to ensure they're being properly maintained and that the safety of the customer is looked after.
Keep everybody kind of referring to the same hymnal on what needs to be done to kind of remove that element then, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Thanks for your time today, Jim.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Let's throw it back to Allison.
Thanks, Bob, and thank you for the click. We invite you to keep checking back here to iuec.org for more Now Hear This segments, as well as more feature stories about the best elevator mechanics in the world. I'm Allison Harrell. See you next time.